because I had been treating my body like it had no limits, like it would just keep going as long as I told it to. But it doesn't work like that. You can ignore signals, but they don't disappear, they get louder, until you're forced to listen, and I had reached that point. The next few days were different. I didn't push as hard, not because I suddenly knew what to do, but because I was scared of feeling that again, that loss of control, that overwhelming sensation. So I slowed down, not dramatically, just slightly, and even that felt strange, like I was doing something wrong, like I should be doing more, like I was falling behind. That feeling of guilt, it surprised me because it showed me something I hadn't fully seen before. I had tied my value to how much I could handle, how productive I was, how available I was. So when I slowed down, it felt like I was losing something, even though I actually needed it. And that's when I realized this wasn't just physical, it was deeper. It was how I saw myself, how I defined strength, how I measured worth. And that's not something you change overnight, so I didn't try to fix everything at once. I just started small. I gave myself moments, short ones, to pause, to breathe, to not do anything. And at first, it felt uncomfortable. My mind would immediately try to fill the space, thinking, planning, worrying, but I stayed with it because I knew I needed to. I started noticing patterns when I felt most tense, what triggered it, how my body reacted before I even realized it mentally. And that awareness, it gave me something I didn't have before, a chance to respond instead of react, not perfectly, but enough to interrupt the pattern, enough to create space. And slowly, things started to shift, not dramatically, but subtly. I felt a little more present, a little less overwhelmed, a little more connected to myself. But the truth is, I was still figuring it out, still unsure, still learning. Because once you've been disconnected from yourself for so long, reconnecting takes time. It's not just about resting, it's about understanding, listening, being honest in ways you weren't before. And that process, it's not easy, because it forces you to face things you've been avoiding, feel things you've been pushing down, acknowledge parts of yourself you've ignored. But I knew I couldn't go back, not after that moment, not after my body made it so clear. Something had to change. And this time, I wasn't going to wait until it broke again, because now I understood something I didn't before. Your body doesn't just react, it communicates. And if you don't listen early, it will find a way to make you listen later. I learned that the hard way, but I was finally learning that. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't just pushing through life anymore. I was starting to feel it, feeling it. That was new for me. Not just existing, not just moving from one thing to the next, actually feeling what was happening inside me. And I won't lie, it wasn't easy, because when you've spent so long ignoring yourself, the moment you start paying attention, everything comes at once. Thoughts, emotions, tension you didn't realize you were carrying. At first, it felt overwhelming, like I had opened a door that had been closed for years, and now everything behind it was rushing out. But this time, I didn't run from it. I stayed, not perfectly, not every moment, but enough to start understanding, because I realized something important. Nothing I was feeling was new. It was just finally being noticed. At all the stress I minimized, at all the pressure I normalized, all the emotions I postponed, they didn't disappear, they waited. And now, they were showing up, to hurt me, but to be acknowledged. That shift in perspective, it changed everything. Because instead of seeing my body as something that failed me that day, I started seeing it as something that protected me. It didn't break, it stopped me, and that's different. It forced a pause I would have never chosen on my own, and that pause, it gave me something I didn't know I needed. Awareness, real awareness, not the kind where you say I should take care of myself more, but the kind where you actually see what's happening and can't ignore it anymore. I started changing small things, not in a dramatic, life reset kind of way, but in ways that felt real. I stopped saying yes to everything, even when it felt uncomfortable, even when I worried about how it would look. I started creating space in my day, Just enough to breathe. Enough to not feel like I was constantly chasing something. I paid attention to how I felt after certain conversations, certain environments, certain routines, and I adjusted slowly because I wasn't trying to fix my life overnight. I was trying to rebuild my relationship with myself, and that takes time. There were still moments of fear, moments where I felt that sensation again, not as intense, but enough to remind me. And instead of panicking, I listened, I paused, I asked myself what was happening, what I needed, and sometimes the answer was simple: rest. Space. Silence. Other times it was harder. It meant facing something, a conversation I was avoiding, a boundary I wasn't setting, a truth I wasn't admitting. And those moments, they were the most important ones, because that's where real change happens, not in comfort, but in honesty. I also started talking about it, not with everyone but with people I trusted, and that was hard, because I wasn't used to being that open. I was used to being the one who had everything under control, the one who didn't struggle. But the moment I started sharing, something surprising happened. People understood more than I expected. Some of them had felt the same way. Some of them were going through it too, just quietly. And that made me realize something else. I wasn't alone. I just thought I was. Because no one talks about this. Not openly. Not honestly. We talk about success. Productivity. Growth. But we don't talk about what it costs. We don't talk about what happens when you keep going without checking in with yourself. We don't talk about how easy it is to disconnect while everything looks fine. And that's the part that matters. Because if no one talks about it, you think it's just you. You think you're the problem. You think you should be able to handle it, just like everyone else. But that's not true. We're just really good at hiding it. I was. For a long time, I smiled through everything. Through stress. Through pressure. Through moments where I was already overwhelmed but didn't admit it, because I thought that's what strength looked like. But now, I see it differently. Strength isn't ignoring yourself. It's listening. It's paying attention before things get too far. It's respecting your limits, even when no one else sees them. And most importantly, it's giving yourself permission to stop, not quit everything, not walk away from your life, but pause, reset, take a step back before your body forces you to. Because trust me, it will if you don't listen early. It finds a way to make you listen later. In that moment, it changes you. It did for me, not in a way that made everything perfect, but in a way that made everything real. I still have responsibilities. I still have stress. Life didn't suddenly become easy, but now, I move differently. I don't ignore the signals anymore. I don't push through everything. I don't pretend I'm fine when I'm not. And that has changed the way I experience everything. I feel more present, more connected, more myself. And that's something I didn't even realize I had lost. If you're listening to this, and you feel like you've been holding everything together for too long, like you're always the one who manages, solves, handles, I want you to ask yourself something simple. When was the last time you actually checked in with yourself? Not your schedule, not your responsibilities, you, because it's easy to lose yourself in everything you're carrying, especially when you're used to being strong. But strength doesn't mean silence. It doesn't mean pushing through everything. It means knowing when to stop and not waiting until you're forced to. Because that's what happened to me. I didn't choose to stop. My body chose for me. And even though it scared me, even though it felt like everything was out of control, it was also the moment that brought me back to myself, back to awareness, back to something real. So maybe you don't need to wait for that moment. Maybe you can pause now, listen now, before it gets to that point. Because sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is stop. I smiled through everything, until one day my body forced me to stop. I didn't notice it at first. That's the truth. If you had asked me back then how I was doing, I would have smiled and said, I'm good. And I would have meant it, at least. I thought I did, because nothing in my life looked like it was falling apart. I had a job. I showed up on time. I handled my responsibilities. I responded to messages. I laughed at the right moments. I kept everything moving. From the outside, everything looked normal, even stable. And that's what made it so dangerous, because nothing was obviously wrong. There were no big breakdowns, no dramatic moments, no clear signs that something inside me was slowly reaching its limit. It was quieter than that, much quieter. It started with small things I brushed off without thinking, feeling tired even after sleeping, up with this heaviness in my chest, like I hadn't really rested, but I told myself it was normal. Everyone's tired. That's what I said. Then came the headaches. Not intense. Just constant. A low pressure. That stayed with me throughout the day. But again, nothing serious, so I ignored it, took something for it, kept going. Then my body started doing something I couldn't fully explain. I would be in the middle of something, and suddenly feel disconnected. Like I was there, but not really there. Like everything around me was happening, but I was slightly outside of it, watching. Floating. I didn't have a name for it at the time. I just called it being tired, and I kept moving, because stopping didn't feel like an option. That's something I realize now. I didn't feel like I had permission to stop. Not really. There was always something to do, something that needed my attention, someone who depended on me, and I had built this identity around being the person who could handle everything, the reliable one, the strong one, the one who doesn't complain. So even when my body started sending signals, I translated them into something else. Push through, just one more day, rest later. That became my routine, and the scary part, it worked, at least for a while, because you can ignore your body until you can't. I remember one specific week. Everything felt heavier than usual. Work was demanding. My phone wouldn't stop. Messages. Calls. Things piling up. And I handled it just like always. Answering. Solving. Moving from one thing to the next without really stopping. But something felt off, not just physically. Mentally. Like I was reaching a limit I couldn't see, but could feel, and still I didn't stop, because stopping felt like failure, like weakness, like I was letting something slip. So I kept going, smiling through conversations, saying I'm fine, automatically, even when I wasn't sure anymore. And then it happened, not in a dramatic way, not in the middle of something big. It was a normal day, a regular moment. I was standing in line, waiting. Nothing stressful. Nothing intense, just a quiet moment. And suddenly, my body said no. Out of nowhere. My heart started racing. Fast, too fast. My chest tightened, my breathing changed, shallow. Unsteady. And for a second, I didn't understand what was happening. I thought maybe I was just dizzy. Maybe I hadn't eaten enough. But it didn't pass. It got stronger. My hands started to feel cold. My vision slightly blurred. And then the thought hit me. Something is wrong. Not in a vague way, in a real way. Stepped out of line, tried to breathe, tried to calm down. But my body wasn't responding. It felt like I had lost control, like something inside me had taken over, and I couldn't stop it. And that fear, that's what made it worse, because now it wasn't just physical, it was mental too. What if something happens? What if I pass out? What if this is serious? Those thoughts started to spiral, and my body followed. Faster heart, tighter chest, more panic, until I couldn't ignore it anymore. I had to sit down right there in the middle of everything. And I remember looking around, seeing people just living their lives, talking, walking, laughing, normal. And there I was, completely overwhelmed by something I couldn't even explain. It felt unreal, like I had stepped into a different reality for a moment. One where everything inside me was out of control, while everything outside looked the same. After a while, it started to calm down slowly, not instantly, but enough for me to stand up again, enough for me to move. But something had changed, because that moment, it broke the illusion that I was fine. The illusion that I could just keep going without consequences. The illusion that my body would always keep up with my mind. I went home that day, and I didn't tell anyone, not right away, because I didn't even know how to explain it. What do you say? I was standing there, and suddenly I couldn't breathe. It didn't make sense, so I stayed quiet. But inside, I knew something wasn't right, and for the first time, I couldn't ignore it. That night, I sat in silence. No distractions, no noise, just me, and everything I had been pushing away. And I started to replay things. The tiredness, the headaches, the disconnect, all those small moments I had dismissed. They weren't random, they were signals, warnings, and I had ignored all of them, because I thought I could handle it, because I thought being strong meant pushing through everything. But now, my body had forced me to stop, not gently, not subtly, but clearly. And that realization, it was uncomfortable, because it meant I wasn't in control the way I thought I was. It meant there were limits I hadn't respected. It meant something inside me had been building, quietly, until it couldn't anymore. And now, I had no choice but to face it the next day. I woke up differently, not physically at first, but mentally, more aware, more cautious. Like, I was suddenly paying attention to something I had ignored for too long. And the question that stayed with me was simple. What is my body trying to tell me? But the answer, that wasn't simple at all. That question stayed with me longer than I expected. What is my body trying to tell me? At first, I thought I could figure it out quickly. Maybe I just needed more rest. Maybe I was dehydrated. Maybe it was stress. Just temporary. That's what I told myself. Simple explanations. Easy answers. Because the alternative felt heavier. So I tried to go back to normal. I woke up the next day, got ready, followed my routine, same schedule, same responsibilities, same pace. But something felt different not on the outside. Everything looked the same, but inside, I was paying attention now. And once you start paying attention, you notice things you can't ignore anymore. Like how quickly my body tensed up over small things. A notification sound, an unexpected email, a simple request. Things that never felt heavy before, now felt like pressure. I started noticing my breathing more. How shallow it got without me realizing. How often I held my breath when I was focused or stressed. I noticed how my shoulders were always tight. How my jaw was clenched, more than it should be. All these small things, happening constantly. And I had never stopped to see them, because I was too busy functioning, too focused on getting through the day. But now, I couldn't unsee it. And that awareness, it was uncomfortable, because it made me realize something. I didn't want to admit I wasn't okay. Not in the way I had been telling myself I was. Managing, I was coping, but I wasn't okay. And there's a difference. A big one. Managing means you're surviving. Okay means you're actually living. And I had been in survival mode for longer than I realized. That realization didn't bring clarity, it brought confusion. Because if I wasn't okay, then what was wrong? Nothing in my life looked broken. I wasn't going through a major crisis. No big event, no clear reason. So why did my body react like that? Why now? That's when something started to shift in how I saw things. I realized it wasn't about one moment. It wasn't about one bad day. It was everything accumulated, unprocessed, ignored. All the stress I never acknowledged, all the emotions I pushed aside, all the pressure I normalized. It didn't disappear. It stayed, stored somewhere inside me. And over time, it built up. Until my body couldn't carry it anymore. That thought stayed with me, and for the first time, I didn't try to push it away. I sat with it, even though it was uncomfortable. Because deep down, I knew it was true. I started thinking about how I had been living, constantly available, always responding, always on, not just physically, but mentally. Even when I was resting, my mind wasn single quotes t. Thinking about what I needed to do next, what I might have missed, what could go wrong. There was never a real pause. Never a moment where I fully stopped and I had convinced myself that was normal. That's just how life is. But now, my body was telling me something different. This isn't sustainable. That's what it felt like, not in words, but in sensation, in tension, in that moment where everything inside me said, enough. And the more I thought about it, the more it made sense.